Imagine dedicating your life, really, your whole career, to making the digital world safer. Pouring all your expertise into protecting data, advising governments, the whole nine yards.
Yeah, building up that reputation, that trust.
Exactly. Only to find yourself suddenly branded a criminal. Unjustly imprisoned, stripped of everything you've meticulously built.
Terrifying.
What if doing what you genuinely believed was the right thing, acting ethically, led not to praise, but to the absolute biggest nightmare of your life?
It's a chilling thought, isn't it?
Mwah.
Almost sounds like fiction, but for our deep dive today, this was the terrifying reality for Alberto Daniel Hill.
Today, we're diving into the astonishing true story of Alberto Daniel Hill, a renowned cybersecurity expert from Uruguay.
His name is now kind of tragically synonymous with being the first person in Uruguay unjustly jailed for a computer crime he absolutely insists he did not commit.
Yeah, and his journey, it's not just about one person's resilience, though it's definitely that too. It really shines a harsh light on the deep flaws, the systemic problems within injustice systems everywhere as they grapple with, the digital age.
Our mission today is really to unpack Alberto's incredible story. We're drawing on his own firsthand accounts, legal documents, interviews he's given. We want to try and separate the sensational headlines from the actual facts.
Because the headlines were pretty wild.
Oh, definitely. We'll explore how his ethical actions, things he thought were responsible, led to these unforeseen, life-altering consequences. And crucially, how he turned this personal tragedy into a catalyst for trying to change the system.
So why does this matter to you listening right now? Well, look, this isn't just a tech story. It's not just about cybersecurity
So
jargon.
fundamentally human. It's about justice, perseverance, and those really blurry lines between, let's say, ethical curiosity online and what gets perceived as criminal.
You're going to gain some unique insights, I think, into the real-world impact of cyber laws, the challenges when authorities are just overwhelmed by information they don't get.
And maybe how one person's spirit, just that refusal to give up, can actually spark change globally.
Okay, let's unpack this. So to really get a handle on the ethical dilemma Alberto faced, we need to understand where he came from. This wasn't some random guy messing around online.
Not at all. He was, by all accounts, a prodigy. His fascination started super early. I mean, picture this. 12 years old. Sinclair Spectrum plus Robert.
Wow, Spectrum plus Rob, that takes me back. With 48K of RAM?
Exactly. 48 kilobytes.
Yeah.
Almost nothing by today's standards. And he wasn't just playing games, mind you. He was hacking them.
Hacking them? How?
He was learning assembler, a really low-level language, just so he could give himself more lives in games. It wasn't just cheating. It was about understanding how the software worked, right down to the metal.
That's incredible. That speaks to a real deep curiosity, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that kind of curiosity as well, it's essential for cybersecurity professionals. You need to know how things break to make them strong.
And this wasn't just a private thing. He got published.
Yeah. He submitted his work, his findings, to a Spanish magazine called Micromania. And they published it. This was a legit magazine back then. So his talent was recognized really early on.
So this passion carried through. He didn't just stop at games.
No way. He pursued it academically, got his associates, engineering, master's degrees in computer science. His career was pretty diverse, too.
Like what?
He worked as a computer forensics examiner, even on a criminal child pornography case, which, understandably, he had to quit because the material was so traumatic.
Wow. That's heavy stuff. Shows the serious work he was doing.
Definitely. And get this, for 4 years, he was a security consultant for the Uruguayan government, collaborated with Interpol.
So he was advising the very authorities who later...
Yeah. Oh, okay. Exactly. Advising them on national security, cybercrime. He also developed deep expertise in cryptocurrencies, which was a pretty new field then, giving international talks on it. He was really at the cutting edge.
So his whole philosophy, his core belief, wasn't about causing harm.
Not at all. He firmly believed, and still does, hacking is not a crime. It's the intent behind it that matters. For him, curiosity is vital for finding vulnerabilities before the bad guys do.
A crucial distinction, one that got completely lost later on.
Painfully lost, yeah.
And that philosophy is key to understanding what happened next. The Circulo Católico discovery, October 2014.
Right, and this wasn't planned. It wasn't some assignment. It started totally innocently.
Right.
Saturday, at his ex-girlfriend's place.
It's just a normal weekend.
Pretty much. She asks him to log into her medical provider's website, Circulo Católico, to book an appointment.
Okay, standard stuff.
Except what he found was unbelievable. He gained administrator access instantly.
How? Sophisticated exploit.
Nope. Username, admin. Password, Admin.
You're kidding me. For a major medical provider.
Dead serious. Admin. We're talking access to over 200,000 medical records. Personal info, financial details, medication stock. Nearly 9% of Uruguay's entire population. Just wide open.
That is catastrophic. What did he rate that vulnerability?
He called it a solid 10 out of 10 critical red alert. The worst possible kind. So easy to exploit, massive potential damage. Anyone could have walked in.
So what did he do as this ethical hacker with government experience?
Exactly what you'd hope. Within minutes, literally 3 to 15 minutes of finding it, he sent a detailed email to the Uruguayan CERT, the Computer Emergency Response Team.
CERT at CERT, right?
That's the one. And he didn't try to hide. He included his own IP address. Full transparency.
Okay, so he did the responsible thing. How did CERT respond?
Initially, it seemed fine. Santiago Paz, the director, replied in less than an hour. Confirmed the report was accurate.
So relief.
Huge relief for Alberto. He thought, okay, ethical duty done. He actually said he thought he could sleep without any problem. Reported it, they acknowledged it, end of story, right?
You'd think so, but obviously not.
Not even close. Fast forward about a year, April 2015. He calls it the persistent problem.
Still there.
Still there. His ex asks him to access the system again. And Alberto finds the vulnerability is now even worse.
How could it be worse than admin?
Because now, you didn't even need that. He could access all patient medical records. No username, no password needed at all.
How?
By simply changing a number in the website address, the URL parameter. Change a 1 to a 2, see someone else's full medical history. Private data, medications, everything.
Oh my God, so anyone could just browse through private medical files?
Potentially, yes. And the horrifying part, Google could potentially index those records, make them publicly searchable. A massive, catastrophic data leak waiting to happen.
So despite the first experience, he reported it again.
He did. Promptly reported this new, even more critical flaw to CERT. Got another ticket number.
But no actual fix.
No sign of it. No indication of follow-up or resolution. The massive hole was still there, wider than ever.
That must have been incredibly frustrating. Demoralizing.
Hugely. He said his motivation was just professional curiosity, trying to prevent harm. No reward, no bug bounty programs in Uruguay, no legal protection for researchers.
Just risk.
All risk.
Yeah.
Looking back, he admitted he felt naive. He actually said he regretted reporting it, wished he'd just walked away and said nothing.
Wow. That's a terrible place for an ethical hacker to end up, regretting doing the right thing.
It's a really chilling effect, isn't it? Tells you something's wrong with the system.
Okay, so that deep regret must have lingered. Now let's jump to September 2017. This is where things go completely off the rails for Alberto. Operation Bitcoins.
Right. It started earlier that year, February 2017. Circulo Católico, the same medical provider, reported an attempted cyber attack.
The one with the terrible security.
It's the very same. About a week after their report, they supposedly received a ransom email.
What did it threaten?
It threatened to publicly release confidential medical info, specifically targeting HIV-positive patients. Dump it on social media, leak it to the press, unless 15 bitcoins were paid.
Okay, classic ransomware tactic. Horrible, but standard.
Except for one massive glaring flaw.
Which was?
The ransom email. It didn't even have a Bitcoin address in it.
Wait, what? How do you pay a ransom without an address?
Exactly. Alberto, with his crypto background, called it the most pathetic ransomware attack I ever saw. Even if they wanted to pay, they literally couldn't.
And the authorities didn't question this during the investigation.
Apparently not. That crucial detail, the lack of a payment address, was somehow overlooked. It just beggars belief, doesn't it? Should have been a massive red flag right away.
Absolutely. So despite this absurdity, the police launched Operation Bitcoins.
They did. And after 7 months, they claimed they traced the IP address of this bizarre, unpayable ransom email straight to Alberto's apartment.
But Alberto contests this.
Vehemently. He says the IP trace was totally false, not part of any real mitigation. He thinks it might have been a harmless firewall drop connection picked up by a Shodan plugin he used for research back in January.
Shodan, the search engine for devices.
Right. It scans for open ports, things like that. A dropped connection from a Shodan scan is a universe away from proving someone sent a specific email.
And wasn't there another inconsistency with the IP trace?
Yeah, the fact that 2 people were eventually arrested in the case. An IP trace points to one location. How does one IP trace lead to 2 arrests? It just doesn't add up logically.
It really doesn't. So based on this shaky trace, the raid happens September 9, 2017.
6 or 7 Interpol agents show up at his apartment with a search warrant. Alberto wasn't home. They left a note.
And he went involuntarily.
He did. Went to the station with his girlfriend and friends, completely unaware of what this was really about, thinking it was some misunderstanding he could clear up.
Big mistake, it seems.
Huge. They took him back to his apartment for the search. He noted they put on latex gloves, very dramatic. And when they saw his equipment, they were just totally stunned.
He's a cybersecurity expert. He'd have gear.
Of course. But they immediately labeled it all hacker paraphernalia, despite Alberto trying to explain what everything was for.
What kind of stuff did they see?
So the list is long and, frankly, kind of absurd. Cash, sure. US dollars, euros, reals, pesos. But then 6 laptops, 5 phones, 13 hard drives.
Okay, normal for a tech professional.
But they left 29 more hard drives behind. Also drive duplicator, routers, USB drives, printers, monitors, surveillance cams.
So a typical home office lab for someone in his field.
You'd think.
Yeah.
But then it gets weirder. Stacks of hardware, Bitcoin wallets, Ledger Nano S devices. He was a distributor. Only the empty boxes were returned later.
Meaning the actual crypto on them.
Potentially lost or mishandled. They also seized 2 fake toy Bitcoin coins.
Toy coin.
Toy coins. A device for cloning credit cards, 125 blank credit cards, and 30 normal ones.
Okay, the cloning device sounds bad, but the blank cards?
He explained he researched Euclid debit cards, crypto-loaded cards from a UK company. But the police just saw carding tools.
They were seeing what they wanted to see.
Pretty much. To top it off, a Guy Fawkes masked the anonymous symbol and a toy guillotine.
A toy guillotine, seriously. Seriously. It paints a picture of profound incompetence, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And the evidence handling.
Terrible, according to Alberto. Instead of forensic cloning, they just turned on the laptops. Potential data alteration right there. Exchanging server logs as plain text emails. Basic security protocols ignored.
They didn't understand the tools either.
Clearly not. Things like Wi-Fi pineapples, rubber duckies, USB kill devices, standard research or testing tools seemed completely alien and threatening to them. Alberto felt they were not prepared for this, that it was all a show.
A show that led to a confession. How did that happen?
During the interrogation, he faced irrelevant questions from officers who clearly didn't get the tech side. Then a new, more authoritative officer came in, put the pressure on.
To confess to the email.
Exactly. And the turning point, the thing that broke him, was a threat against his family.
What kind of threat?
The officer threatened to raid his elderly mother's house, to harass his girlfriend, drag them into it.
Oh, that's awful pressure. It really is. And Alberto, thinking, maybe naively, that the evidence against him sending the email was so non-existent he could easily prove his innocence in court. He confessed.
Just to protect his mother and girlfriend.
His primary goal, he said, was to save the grief for them. He made a calculated risk under extreme duress, assuming the legal system would see the truth eventually. A gamble that backfired spectacularly.
So he confessed under duress, thinking the courts would sort it out, but the legal system he encountered was, well, not equipped.
Not even close. It was a system in crisis when it came to cybercrime. He wasn't even charged with hacking per se.
Why not?
Because Uruguay's penal code didn't have a specific law for it back then, so they had to kind of shoehorn his alleged actions into existing laws.
Like what?
Attempted extortion for the ransom email he confessed to sending under duress and fraudulent knowledge of secret information, presumably for accessing the Circulo Católico data he'd reported years earlier.
It sounds like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
That's a good way to put it. And the technical ignorance in court was just staggering. Alberto recalls the prosecutor asking about 12 viruses on a USB drive.
12 viruses, like specifically 12.
Yeah, and asking what a USB kill device was, showing a fundamental lack of understanding of the very evidence they were presenting.
And his lawyer, was she any help?
His state-assigned lawyer, unfortunately, didn't understand anything about the tech side either. Imagine trying to build a defense when your own lawyer, the prosecutor, and the judge are all struggling with the basics.
It's an impossible situation. So despite his clean record, his government work.
Despite all that, he was found guilty and sentenced to preventative prison on September 11, 2017. Not even a final sentence, just preventive detention.
On what grounds?
The judge cited flight risk. And get this, his high computer knowledge as reasons. The argument was he could somehow alter the rest of the process.
Alter it how? Magically.
Alberto called it ridiculous, like suggesting he had telepathic powers. Legal experts he spoke to later agreed preventive prison wasn't logical for his case. He was basically being jailed for being smart.
And this highlights the problem with Uruguay's laws at the time.
Massively. described as most lagging in South America on cybercrime. No specific laws meant these cases got forced into old frameworks, leading to completely unfair outcomes. Alberto was the first person processed with prison for this kind of case there. A terrible precedent.
So he ends up in prison. What was that like?
A nightmare, he calls it, and a university of crime. He was there for about 8 or 9 months until late May 2018.
What were the conditions?
Freezing cell, surrounded by people convicted of serious violent crimes, sexual offenders, murderers, drug dealers, people whose profiles were completely different from his. He felt prison just made people worse.
But didn't his hacker reputation give him some weird status?
Ironically, yes, some inmates saw him as a kind of hero. They'd ask him for help, hack my girlfriend's Facebook, stuff like that.
Did he?
No, but the prison warden made a strict rule. Alberto was not allowed to touch any computers or electronics. Kind of absurd given who else was in there.
The toll must have been immense, mentally, physically.
Devastating. Diagnosed with PTSD, deep depression. Years of therapy followed. His anxiety got so bad he overdosed on Xanax at one point, ended up in a coma for 2 hours, hospitalized. It broke him in many ways.
And financially, you mentioned the crypto.
Financially ruined. Lost over $1 million in crypto assets. 26 Bitcoin, 1,000 Ether, 10,000 Litecoin. All gone.
Uh-oh. Just because the hardware was seized?
Primarily because his phone, with his two-factor authentication, was seized and never returned. And the ledger wallets, well, only empty boxes came back. Without the 2FA and the devices likely compromised or wiped, he couldn't access anything. A fortune lost due to evidence mishandling.
Unbelievable. Did he face pressure inside prison too?
He did. Another inmate, Javier Orlando, apparently tried to pressure him into hacking Banco Republica, Uruguay's biggest bank, to steal millions.
What did Alberto do?
He refused. And he actually reported the guy to the prison authorities. Even in there, his ethics held.
So how did he eventually get out?
His lawyer kept appealing, fought it 3 times. Finally, the appeal was granted.
Just like that, free to go.
Not quite. Release was contingent on $10,000 bail, a huge sum.
How did he manage that?
His mother, fortunately, managed to get the funds immediately. Alberto said this just cemented his view that justice in Uruguay isn't equal if it depends on who you are, how much money you have.
Very cynical, but probably accurate takeaway.
And when he finally got home, remember those 29 hard drives the police left behind?
Yeah.
They were still there, along with 3 laptops, 3 cell phones, some money, even the blank credit cards, still just sitting in his apartment after all that time.
More evidence of just sloppiness.
Total sloppiness.
Yeah.
Alberto felt the whole investigation was just all a show. He even wondered if it was a setup or a cover-up for something bigger going on at Círculo Católico. That's how little faith he had left in the process.
Okay, so Alberto's out of prison, finally free. But the ordeal is far from over, right? He's dealing with the aftermath.
Absolutely. He described himself upon release as just overwhelmed by negative emotions. Anger, hate, and a desire for revenge against the system that wronged him so badly. Completely understandable.
And his reputation, what happened there?
Utterly destroyed, at least locally. The Uruguayan media, mostly repeating police press releases, had painted him as the worst cyber criminal terrorist on earth.
Based on that shaky evidence and coerced confession.
Pretty much. They effectively doxed him too, publishing personal details. His private life was just gone, shattered by these public accusations.
Did he try to tell his side of the story in Uruguay?
He did. He met with some of the most important journalists there. They apparently acknowledged he had a hell of a story.
But did they run it?
Nobody ever wanted to give me an interview. That's what he said. Complete media blackout in his own country. He felt incredibly unfairly treated, silenced after being publicly vilified.
So, shut out locally, where did he turn?
The internet, social media, primarily Twitter. Armed with just his cell phone, that became his platform, his way to bypass the local gatekeepers.
And did that work? Did people listen?
It took time, but then came the breakthrough. November 2018. His story was featured on a very popular podcast, Darknet Diaries, episode 25.
Yeah, Jack Rysider show. That has a huge reach.
Massive. Over 1 million listeners heard his story. Alberto said it gave him immense global visibility. It turned him into something of a rock star in the international information security community.
That must have been vindicating.
Hugely. He could finally shout out to the world, tell his truth. He said it was a profound relief for his mental health, just being heard and believed by people who understood his world.
Did the story get picked up elsewhere after that?
It did. It gained traction at big security conferences like 35C3 in Germany. And Interestingly, even the actress Nicole Eggert from Baywatch publicly endorsed him, vouched for his character.
Wow, that's unexpected support.
Shows the story resonated beyond just the tech community, tapped into that sense of injustice.
And he wrote a book, too.
He did. Chronicle the whole ordeal in Operation Bitcoin's Log Into Hell. He keeps updating it, even plans an NFT edition. Still engaging with tech, still telling his story.
This whole process, from prisoner to global voice, must have changed his perspective profoundly.
Absolutely. He said over time, those feelings of anger and hate started to transform. They morphed into this powerful drive for reform, a desire to help others avoid what he went through. He learned to manage the truth, adapt to the awful hand he was dealt.
And he became a big advocate for that idea. Hacking is not a crime.
Very much so. He constantly stresses the difference between ethical research and criminal acts. Professionals and criminals might use similar tools, similar skills, he argues.
But it's the ethics, the intent, that makes all the difference.
Exactly. A nuance the Uruguayan system completely missed in his case.
Did his experience change how he acts now regarding vulnerabilities?
It did, sadly. He reluctantly advises other researchers. Well, he admits he doesn't report them anymore because I was forced to.
He doesn't report vulnerabilities he finds now.
Not without legal guarantees or safe harbor programs in place. He just closes the computer and goes to bed. It's that chilling effect we talked about. The fear of facing similar repercussions is real for researchers in Uruguay because of his case.
That's a terrible outcome for security overall.
It is. He now pushes universities to prepare students, not just technically, but for these real-world ethical minefields and the immense pressure they might face, like emergency training for pilots.
But through all this, the online community was supportive.
Incredibly so. He credits the love, support, and understanding from the global cybersecurity community, especially on Twitter, as being crucial for his strength and recovery. When his own country failed him, the global community stepped up.
So Alberto shares his story, gets this global platform, but he doesn't just stop there. He starts working for change back home.
Right. He's not just a survivor. He's become an active agent of change. His case, his ordeal, became the perfect example for lawyers and digital rights groups in Uruguay who are already pushing to modernize the country's cybercrime laws.
They could point to him and say, see, this is what happens when the laws are outdated.
Precisely. And now the Uruguayan parliament is actually debating a major reform of the penal process code. They're looking to add a specific chapter just on cybercrimes.
Covering things like
Illicit access, intercepting information, data integrity attacks, misusing devices, digital forgery, fraud, basically trying to catch the law up to the technology.
And here's the really amazing part, right? Alberto's involvement.
It's incredible. Alberto himself has been invited by the parliament, by Congress, to be part of those conversations, to talk to them about his experience.
So the guy they jailed is now advising them on how to write the laws.
Exactly. The irony is just profound. The system that failed him so badly now seeks his expertise to fix itself. It's a truly remarkable full-circle moment.
His experience must have given him some deep thoughts on justice itself.
Oh, definitely. It completely shattered his belief in a single, universal justice system. He concluded that justice doesn't really exist like that. Instead, he says there are justices depending on who you are, how much power you have, how much money you have.
A pretty bleak view, born from hard experience.
Very much so. And his view on prisons solidified too, calling them universities of crime, worrying that sending essentially ethical people like him there just destroys them and breeds more criminality.
Does he suggest alternatives?
Yeah, he advocates for things like community work, maybe teaching computer science to kids, things that offer rehabilitation and actually benefit society, instead of just locking people away.
He also pointed out the costs, didn't he?
He did. Mentioned that Uruguayan taxpayers paid around $900 a month to keep him, a non-violent person deemed not a flight risk, despite the judge's ruling, in prison. He called it ridiculous, a total waste of resources.
So for him, the whole system was just broken.
Completely bad. Full of problems, full of flaws, and it must change. That was his assessment. He argues the real vulnerability isn't just in the tech, it's in the unprepared legal systems, the lack of training, the poor incident response.
Yet, despite all this trauma, the PTSD, depression, bankruptcy, how is he doing now, personally?
Amazingly, he says he's happier than ever, finding joy in simple things, in connections. It shows incredible personal growth, unbelievable resilience.
And he gives huge credit to his mother.
He calls her the hero of all this story. While he was inside, she was silently paying his bills, keeping things afloat, and undergoing radiotherapy for cancer without even telling him.
Wow, that's incredible strength.
He believes her love, that love of a mother for a son, was the silent force that enabled his own resilience, his transformation. It's deeply moving.
Has he found happiness in other areas too?
He has. He's found new love, describes it as a beautiful feeling he thought he'd lost forever. Another sign of healing, of moving forward.
And professionally, he's still involved in cybersecurity.
Definitely. Though, as we said, he's cautious about reporting vulnerabilities now without legal protections. But he's exploring new areas, like NFTs, staying engaged.
And mentoring, passing on his experience.
Yeah, he frequently advises young people entering the field, stresses passion over money, and crucially, prepares them for those ethical gray areas, the intense pressure, the stuff courses don't teach you, that pilot training for emergencies idea.
His story really is a masterclass in resilience.
Grit, resilience, courage. He truly believes one man can change this system through patience, determination, doing the virtuous thing even when it's hard.
He sees adversity as opportunity.
Exactly. Shift the perspective. Don't see challenges as just hell. See them as a chance to adapt, to aim for something better, like Aruba, his metaphor for a brighter future. He knows it's slow, but he's moving forward.
So Alberto Daniel Hill's journey, it's just such a powerful narrative, isn't it? From ethical hacker, doing the right thing, reporting huge flaws.
To being unjustly imprisoned, really chewed up by a system that didn't understand him or the digital world.
And finally, emerging as this key voice, actually driving legal reform in his own country.
And the paradox is just stunning. The very system that failed him, that saw him as this major threat,
Is now actively seeking his expertise. They need him to help them catch up, to shape their future laws. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Alberto's story forces us, all of us, to grapple with a fundamental question, right? In this digital world we all live in, how do societies actually encourage and protect responsible cybersecurity research? How do we avoid punishing the people trying to help?
What does justice even mean when the laws are years behind the technology? And maybe more importantly, how prepared are our own legal systems right here, right now, for the complexities, the nuances, the sheer speed of the digital frontier? So what does this all mean for you?